I plan to spend much of the next 6 weeks taking a look at veteran free agents for 2019 with help from the top 50 list from NFL Trade Rumors. The plan is to review positions of need on the Redskins roster, one position per article, over the course of this week and next, and then to revisit the position lists as we get closer to the start of the new league year. Veteran free agent lists will be highly fluid once the Super Bowl has finished, and teams start to talk to their own players. Many of the top free agents will be resigned by their teams during, or in the week following, the Scouting Combine, which will be held from the 26th of February to the 4th of March. I plan to revisit lists of key available free agents again ahead of the beginning of free agency when it becomes clearer which players have decided to stay with their current teams, and which ones seem committed to testing their value in the open marketplace. Consider this a warm-up as we look at the very top tier, a selection of positions from a top 50 list. This is just the opening act. Free agent frenzy starts the 13th of March. The league year ends at 4:00 p.m. ET on the 13th of March, which is when teams are free to sign veteran free agents to new contracts. There's a 2-day legal tampering period prior to the end of the league year when players' agents are allowed to talk to any team in the league to arrange contracts on behalf of their clients. Cap space. According to Over the Cap, the Redskins are projected to have $21.56 million in cap space available this offseason. Using some rule-of-thumb numbers, the team probably needs to allow about $2.6 million for draft picks, and keep another $5 million or so available to sign players as injuries occur during the season. That would leave around $14 million in available 2019 cap space to spend on veteran free agents in the upcoming off-season. Remember that the first year of most NFL contracts typically has the lowest cap hit, so the Redskins would be able to sign one or more players with a cumulative APY that is greater than the available 2019 cap space due to the accrual accounting methods used in accounting for the salary cap. To put a fine point on that, because the APY numbers are average numbers for the life of the contract, while the 2019 cap hits generally represent the lowest year of those contracts, it might be possible for the Redskins to, say, sign 4 veteran free agents whose APYs are $7 million, $5 million, $4.5 million and $4 million, a total of $20.5 million, even though they have only around $14 million available for 2019. Of course, the team can clear space by cutting or trading players, or create space by restructuring contracts in an effort to have more money available for free agency in 2019 and beyond. Potential cap casualties. Here are the top 10 Redskins players who would have a significant effect on salary cap. Alex Smith. Restructure of contract could reduce 2019 cap hit by an estimated $9 million by shifting cap dollars to the remaining 3 years of the contract. This is not a cap savings, but a mere deferral to allow more flexibility in roster construction in the short term. This idea was discussed in some detail in an article published in early December. Trent Williams. Trading Williams could reduce the 2019 cap hit by $9.34 million, with an additional $12.75 million reduction in 2020. Josh Norman. Trading Norman could reduce the 2019 cap hit by $8.5 million, with an additional $12.5 million reduction in 2020. Ryan Kerrigan. Trading Kerrigan could reduce the 2019 cap hit by $10.75 million, with an additional $11.75 million reduction in 2020. Jordan Reed. Cutting or trading Jordan Reed could reduce the 2019 cap hit by $6.07 million, with an additional $17.5 million reduction in the remaining years of his contract, 20. Alternatively, renegotiating Reed's contract could probably create an estimated savings of $2 million to $3 million per season, while keeping Reed on the roster. Zach Brown. Cutting or trading Zach Brown could reduce the 2019 cap hit by $5.75 million, with an additional $8 million reduction in 2020. Vernon Davis. Cutting Vernon Davis would reduce the 2019 cap hit by $5 million. Stacey McGee. Cutting or trading Stacey McGee would reduce the 2019 cap hit by $2.275 million, with an additional $10.5 million reduction in the remaining years of his contract, 20, with a 2019 salary. Chris Thompson. Cutting or trading Chris Thompson would reduce the 2019 cap hit by $3 million. Mason Foster. Cutting Mason Foster would reduce the 2019 cap hit by $2 million. As you can see, the Redskins have a wide range of options available for attacking the salary cap and roster. They could simply stand pat on the existing roster and focus the draft and limited free agency. They could make selected salary cap moves, giving them sufficient room to make one or two key signings, or they could really clear out the roster, load up on draft capital and perform a complete roster teardown. Roster needs. The Redskins have a very large number of players under contract currently, as they ended the year with 24 players on IR, 1 player on reserve, NFI, and 1 on the commissioner's exempt list in addition to the regular roster, practice squad players and futures contracts. Still, the team will have holes in the roster, partly due to injury, partly due to expiring contracts, and partly due to the need to upgrade positions. The front office expects to have 8 draft picks April in addition to the cap space available to sign veteran free agents starting the 13th of March. Upcoming Redskins veteran free agents. Here's the list of 2019 Redskins veteran free agents. According to Over the Cap, the team can bolster the roster in a number of ways: re-signing its own free agents, trading for veteran players, drafting player in Nashville from 25 to 27 April. The Redskins will probably have 8 draft picks, the first being 15th overall. Signing veteran free agents, starting from the 13th of March. Signing undrafted college free agents, starting the moment the draft ends on the 27th of April. Today's article will focus solely on veteran cornerbacks, and today I plan to only look at the 7 CBs that appear on the top 50 veteran free agents list published this week by NFL Trade Rumors. Redskins needs at the position. The Redskins aren't losing any cornerbacks to free agency, but Josh Norman is a potential cap casualty. Dunbar finished the 2018 season on IR with a mysterious nerve injury, and the rest of the CB group is very young and, so far at least, unproven. In addition, at least 2 of the free agents profiled below have the capability to play safety, a position of real need for the Redskins. A guy who could add some veteran presence to the CB group, as well as providing depth for the safety position, could prove very valuable for the Redskins' defense in 2019. Click here to read the full top 50 list from NFL Trade Rumors. Tore his ACL in a Sunday night game against the Cowboys, just 1 season after he had suffered a dislocated ankle in the opening game of the season versus the Redskins. Darby has been considered one of the reasons for the Eagles' success over the past 2 seasons, and his torn ACL one of the reasons why they weren't able to defend their Super Bowl title in 2018. Spatrack is estimating a contract of 6 years, $80.7 million, $13.40 APY for Darby, and, doubtless, there are teams that will benefit from signing him, possibly even the Eagles, though, at the moment, they have the worst projected 2019 cap position in the league at $14.45 million over budget. More likely Darby will end up in New England or with a team like the Colts, Jets or Bills, teams that have plenty of money to spend, a quarterback locked in, and time to wait for Darby to return to health. Now this describes the Redskins. He played well for the Patriots, and will have choices in 2019. One of them could be retirement, especially if the Patriots add a championship ring to his finger. After a career with the Titans and a season with the Browns, that may be enough for the player to hang up his cleats. Of course, if the Patriots get stopped by the Chiefs in Kansas City on Sunday, McCourty might want to come back for another try. Perhaps even with those Chiefs, who could use some cornerback help. At the age of 32, McCourty is no team's future, rather, he is a veteran presence that helps finish the defense for a playoff contending team. No one with the choices he will have at the end of the playoffs is likely to choose the Redskins. According to Pro Football Focus, Callahan is inside the top 10 in at least 4 major statistical categories for nickelbacks, including a league-best 0.69 yards per coverage snap. Furthermore, among all cornerbacks in the NFL, Callahan is ranked by PFF 7th best overall with a rating of 81.4. While Callahan's value to Chicago's defensive success this season was undeniably high, there's a chance he won't return to the team in the 2019 season. It would have been an easier decision for the Bears to try to re-sign Callahan in the offseason if he did not suffer a season-ending foot injury, but he can still expect an offer from the team, thanks to his massive performance when he was healthy. But the Bears face potentially even more cap space restrictions than the Redskins do, with an estimated $14.2 million available, compared to the estimated $21.5 million available to the Redskins. Callahan finished the 2018 NFL regular season with 2 interceptions and 6 passes defended as part of the Bears' stop unit that ranked 7th against the pass with only 221.9 passing yards allowed per game. He also had 2 picks in 2017. Spotrac projects that the 27-year-old Callahan can expect a contract of 4 years, $28 million, APY of $7 million, in free agency. This is a contract that the Redskins, who need a veteran CB who can play at a consistently high level, can afford. I think it's possible that the Bears may not be able to pay Callahan a market value contract, though Chicago's prospects as a perennial playoff team may encourage Callahan to structure his contract in a team-friendly fashion. The Redskins have a lot of youth, and one aging veteran, in the CB Corp. Callahan might be just the right player to complete the group, giving the Redskins a replacement for the slot corner they lost when Kendall Fuller was traded to the Chiefs. HoustonTexans.com lists him as both. In any event, the 31-year-old Jackson has spent his entire career with the Texans, who selected him 20th overall in the 2010 draft. His most recent contract with the Texans paid him around $8.5 million per year, and I suspect that he'll be content to finish out his career in Houston, but if he decides to enter free agency, this 31-year-old defensive back, at a price of around $9 million per year on a 2- or 3-year deal, could be a very good addition for the Redskins, allowing for a great deal of flexibility in pass defense. I wouldn't be disappointed to see the Redskins sign Jackson, but I'd be a bit surprised if it happens. A fan-cited article published in November had a lot to say about the Chiefs' CB. Up to this point in his career, Nelson has been mostly an average cornerback. Much of that has to do with injuries and playing next to Marcus Peters the last few seasons. Peters' own ball-hawking ability and Pro Bowl status was a shadow over the rest of the secondary. Peters also could have been part of the reason that Nelson struggled during his early stages. When the defense had someone like Peters on the defense, offenses schemed to take advantage of the other cornerbacks on the field. Nelson and the rest of the cornerbacks over the last few years were often matched up with number 1 receivers as offenses avoiding Peters' side of the field. Another issue was that considering Peters tended to play outside of the scheme of defensive coordinator Bob Sutton, which means some of those plays given up by Nelson and others could have been partially Peters' fault. Playing in a boundary role helps Nelson's style of play using that boundary as another defender, considering he tends to play more aggressively. When asked about Pro Football Focus ranking Nelson in the top 20 cornerbacks in the league so far this season, he seemed confident as he told reporters he's not surprised. Last season we saw a small glimpse of this kind of player from Nelson once he got back into the game. Spending the first half of the season on injured reserve, it took a few games to get back into the swing of things, but Nelson looked like a solid cornerback down the final stretch for Kansas City last year. Outside of Kendall Fuller, who has 1 more year on his rookie deal following 2018, the only other cornerbacks on the Chiefs roster that are set to be here for 2019 are rookies Tremon Smith and Charvarius Ward. Orlando Scandrick is on a rental deal this season and will likely hit free agency, which leaves the Chiefs with some open spots. If Kansas City can find a way to sign Nelson this offseason with a long-term deal, it would be extremely beneficial for the team. Not only have you finally gotten what you wanted out of Nelson, but it also allows you to play those younger rookies still possibly next season, or bring in a third cornerback from either free agency or the draft to solidify the spot. They would have to only find one player instead of two on the back end. Kansas City is sitting on available cap space of around $35 million for the 2019 offseason, and they do not have a ton of needs. There is every reason to believe that they will bring Nelson back, but if they don't, he might be just the right mix of youth, experience and skill that the Redskins should be targeting for their CB group. He spent some time on and off the Chargers roster, playing 5 games in the 2016 season. After a cup of coffee in training camp with the Seahawks, Dazier ended up with the Colts in 2017, where he earned a starting role, but ended the season on IR after 9 games. He rejoined the Colts in 2018 on a 1-year, $1.75 million contract, and played regularly for the playoff-bound Colts this season. In 2018, Dazier received an overall grade of 77.5 from Pro Football Focus, which ranked as the 18th best overall grade among all qualifying cornerbacks for the season. My biggest question about Dazier is why he is listed among the top 50 free agents of the season. He seems to be a cornerback who has hung around the NFL for 5 years, staying just ahead of being a practice squad player at times, and has now found a situation where he has shined for a season. I can't imagine any reason why Dazier would want to leave Indianapolis, or why the Colts, who have the largest amount of projected cap space, $117 million, in the NFL this offseason, would let him go if he is expected to continue playing at a high level. After spending his rookie season on IR, he was released, and picked up on waivers by the Jets, playing 12 games for them in 2016. He was paid $705,000 in 2018. Roberts is a versatile defensive back who ended the year playing safety when Marcus May was injured. Earlier in the year, he had started 5 games at cornerback when Tremaine Johnson went down with an injury. According to Pro Football Focus, Roberts has been the Jets' third highest-rated defensive player this season, behind only Jamal Adams and May. The Jets are sitting on a ton of cap space, $93 million, and Roberts doesn't appear to be the kind of player to command a huge payday. He is a borderline starter, backup with the flexibility to play both CB and free safety. That kind of flexibility would be valuable for the Redskins, who need depth especially at free safety, and Roberts is likely to fit inside their budget if the Jets allow him to walk this offseason, but New York has no reason to let him leave if they believe he can play. 20%, 1 vote, 20%, 1 vote, 40%, 2 votes, 20%, 1 vote, 5 votes, total vote now 0%, 0 votes, 0%, 0 votes, 50%, 1 vote, 0%, 0 votes, 0%, 0 votes, 50%, 1 vote, 0%, 0 votes, 2 votes, total vote now 20%, 1 vote, 40%, 2 votes, 40%, 2 votes, 5 votes, total vote now.